Good day. Thank you for tuning in to this primary and general election candidate forum for County Commissioner. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TCTV. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with the legislature. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of voting age. I'm Allison Brooks from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for County Commissioner are Jim Cooper, Diane Dondero, John Hutchings, Alan Miller, and John Pettit. For this forum, the candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then I'll ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asked the question will have 2 minutes to respond, followed by 1 minute from the other candidates. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We'll begin with opening statements from the candidates, beginning with Jim Cooper. Jim, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Jim Cooper. I'm on the Olympia City Council for the last 5 years, and I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. I've also been, I'm an Army veteran, an Eagle Scout, and I'm committed to our county's prosperity in the future. For me, there's 3 priorities as a commissioner, and I think that I've demonstrated that in my work on the City Council and my work around the community. First, opportunity for all residents in Thurston County to succeed and earn a living and have an opportunity for a living wage job. It's very important to think about the financial people in our community that are in financial hardship and struggling to get by. In some communities in Thurston County, that can be up to half of the people that are hovering above the poverty line and unable to pay their bills. One automobile breakdown or a broken appliance away from being able to feed their family. Secondly, I would like to have a county government that works for you. Whether you're accessing the court system, having your restaurant inspected, or filing a recording fee, I'd like to see the same level of customer service that you would get at a Hilton hotel implemented in Thurston County government. Right now, it's not working very well, and we need to work to improve it. And lastly, I'm really focused on healthy people and healthy places. If we don't have strong, healthy communities with parks and recreation and open space and very clean and healthy water and air, we'll have some serious problems in the future, and it's important that we work together as a community to work those things out, and really it's about working together to make Thurston County the best place to live and grow up in Washington State.
Thank you. Diane, 2 minutes, opening statement.
Looking for the blinking camera. Hi, my name is Diane Dondero. I have lived in rural Thurston County for the past 27 years. 25 of those years I have served Washington families as an in-home care provider. The reason I'm sitting here today is because I'm aware of the will for change that is sweeping our nation, and I want to be a part of it. When I was 9 years old, I stood up in classroom and defended a fruit picker's daughter, and I have been fighting for social justice ever since. Today, the disparity between the rich and the poor, the economic inequality we are experiencing, we just can't afford to ignore it anymore. And so what I want to see happen in Thurston County is a restructuring of how we do business. We need to bring innovative ideas and incentivize alternatives so that we can start designing communities that can move to the future. I want to be a part of that change. I want to support the people in doing that, and that's why I'm running as the people's candidate. And that's why you want to elect me your next District 1 commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Hutch, 2 minutes, opening statement.
Thank you, Allison. Hello, and my name is John Hutchings, but you can call me Hutch. And I've spent 35 years, or devoted 35 years of my life in public service. And I devoted that public service and exercised that public service with integrity, compassion, and sincerity. Outside of my political or my professional career, I also devoted years of public service in volunteerism in the community with various nonprofit organizations, as well as with service clubs. That's been a core center of my being, is service to others, service before self. And some of the other tools that I bring besides proven leadership and volunteerism and service to others is I have a master's degree. I am a Fulbright scholar, having conducted a multinational research project in Europe. And I am a published author, published a book on mental health and mental illness. Those are some of the tools that I bring to the commission. However, if you're wondering what a Hutch commission looks like, I'll tell you. It looks like you. And by that, I mean when you fill out when you fill in the bubble on the ballot box next to John Hutch Hutchings, your civic duty doesn't end there, because you have more input, you have more involvement in the county, in county government, in your government. Because it's not about me, it's about you folks. And it's about what's going on in our county. And we need to turn the tide and turn the county around for our own survivability regarding our economic development, our environment, and dealing with the folks with mental illness and chemical dependency in our county. This is what I bring to the County Commission, is a voice of the people. You will have a voice. I thank you very much for your time and encourage you, if you want to learn more about me and or my family, to check out votehutch.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Miller, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Allison. I'm Alan Miller. I'm a fourth-generation Washingtonian. I'm a land use attorney, have been in Thurston County since 1982. I'm a parent. I've spent 8 years on the Olympia School Board as its president. I'm known as a good listener, a visionary, and a partner in getting things done. Some of the projects I've been involved with are the Heritage Park Fountain, the Law Enforcement Memorial, the Washington Center, Habitat for Humanity houses, the Farmers Market, the Centennial Train Station, and many others. Please go to votealanmiller.com to see other projects I've been involved in. As far as issues go, public safety is important to me. I will work with Sheriff Snaza to make sure that our new jail is working very efficiently. I'll work with the judges to make sure that our court system is working efficiently, and especially for those with mental health issues and our veterans and our addicted population. Road and bridge maintenance is very important to me, and I want to make sure that those and our parks are being maintained. We should be prepared for our next natural disaster, whether it's an earthquake or flooding, which we know will be coming. Jobs and economic development. As a former chair of the Thurston Chamber of Commerce, I want to make sure that we are creating new jobs and diversifying our job base. I see an agricultural center as part of Tenino's future, and we'll work on that. Tourism and internet-based jobs are very important to diversify our economy. I see a new courthouse in our future, and I would like to see that in downtown Olympia. Environmental protection, we need to dredge and reopen Capitol Lake. We need to restore the Purcell Creek salmon run, and we need to protect our groundwater. Please vote for Alan Miller for a more prosperous, beautiful, and sustainable Thurston County. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And finally, John Pettit, 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you. My name is John Pettit, and I'm running for Thurston County Commissioner District 1. It's time for a new direction for Thurston. Many of you know me as a champion of the citizens of Thurston County against waste and overregulation. I'm proud that I've been able to contribute much to the process over the years. But I believe it's now become necessary for me to run for a position where I can make even a greater difference. I'm not going to give you just a few trigger words to indicate how I care about the issues such as the environment, public safety, economic growth, parks, sustainability, collaboration. All of these words are meaningless without action. I've developed the Pettit Plan, and you can find that at pettitplan.com, which outlines my platform. I'm a strong believer in the concept that actions speak louder than words, and also if you don't have a plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So on my list of the Pettit Plan are important parts about empowering the public to participate in government, removing excess land use regulation, reorganize departments under the county commissioners' management in order to eliminate waste, save millions of dollars to be able to put towards funds such as the sheriff's office and law enforcement. Live within the current tax base, no new taxes. In fact, we need to live and prioritize what we have. Economic growth will occur when you eliminate some of the overregulation. And then I want to see us enhance the county parks and recreation. I myself, a private property owner, I have Deschutes River Ranch, and I'd invite everyone to come down and enjoy the wonderful waters of the state of Washington at my ranch. Vote for John Pettit, County Commissioner.
Thank you, and thank you all. Now we'll go to the questions, and the first question will go to Jim Cooper. And feel free to ask me to repeat the question when we go around if you need to. Jim, what do you think are the two greatest land use challenges facing Thurston County, and how would you deal with them? You have 2 minutes.
Great. So I think right now the two greatest land use issues facing Thurston County are the growth that's coming in the future, with the massive growth coming to the county over the next 20 years, and the protection of our prairie habitats and their associated groundwater. So the first piece, the growth that's coming, I think we've done over our states, the growth management history of 20 or 25 years. Growth management has worked in almost every community in the state except for Thurston County, where we had the opposite effect, where after 25 years of growth management practices, we have seen our urban growth areas built out significantly more than our cities, the exact opposite intent of growth management. So I'm looking forward to working with the cities to see how we can look at those lines and look at urban growth areas to make sure that we're getting the density we need in our cities, so that we can protect the prairie habitats. Now, it's really important to note that we have to have transparent and open policies that are predictable for landowners and developers, because they have their prosperity tied up in their property. But we also have to make sure that we keep the pollution that runs right through the porous soils of our prairies from going into the pristine aquifers that lie right below them. Everyone knows that Yelm is the pride of the prairie, and we have to have those prairies working and functioning while also having transparent and predictable land use policies so that we can build out our communities and make them prosperous and healthy places to live and work.
Thank you. So you each have 1 minute for this question, and we'll start with Hutch. You have 1 minute. If you want me to repeat the question,
I
can
have
do
it,
so.
Allison,
Okay.
thank you. The two land use challenges that are really paramount in Thurston County right now, I believe, are the estuary and the Mazama Pocket Gopher, because they all encompass and touch on so many other issues regarding the survivability of the Port of Olympia, Thurston County's economic survival with revenue, and land use issues being shut down by the federal government, which is not unheard of in this country, but it has been challenged successfully in the past. And so my concern are those two things, the estuary and the pocket gopher, and by pushing back and asking for demanding at least fair representation from the community, which hasn't been sought just yet, and for using evidence-based practices and or scientific data, we can stop this issue.
Thank you. Diane, you have 1 minute.
Well, I kind of agree with Hutch on that, and largely we needed to start looking at the environment and our lives within it and on the planet in new ways, because the way we have been developing our communities and our cities and the infrastructure that we have has obviously not served everyone very well. And stacking and packing people in cities to me, is not a good solution. We need solutions that start building communities instead of housing, and developing the lives of us, of the people that live here, and making our lives sustainable, rather than putting all of our attention on sustaining the lives of business. So that's the beginning.
Thank you. Alan?
Well, I've been working on Capitol campus issues for 30 years, so I know the Capitol Lake issue very well, and the water quality is clean enough to swim. Why it's closed, I don't understand. We need to dredge and reopen Capitol Lake to recreation. But I really think that another issue is that we need to look at the Deschutes River as a whole watershed and to make sure that we are protecting the water quality of the whole Deschutes River. I agree with Jim that groundwater protection is very important, and we need to densify our urban growth areas. We need to build up. We need to build higher, and in order to get, I mean, when I came to town in 1982, we had 125,000 people. We now have over 250,000 people. In the next 30 years, we're going to have 500,000 people. We need to get infill in our downtowns, and I would work with our cities to do that in our urban growth areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And John, you have 1 minute.
I'm going to let you read the question one more time.
Absolutely. What do you think are the two greatest land use challenges facing Thurston County, and how would you deal with them?
Well, when we're talking about the land use issues, one of the most elements we must also realize is growth is going to occur. And when growth is going to occur, you have to plan for it. Now, in terms of regulations, right now we have between 1,500 and 2,000 pages of regulations just regarding land use. I think we're well in excess. As far as taking care of our watershed, I have had the pleasure over the last number of months to be on the Deschutes Watershed Committee group in order to help protect our watershed and to know all the facts related to it. It helps me be prepared to address these issues and make sure that we're protecting our environment so we can enjoy the Deschutes watershed. I'm against pumping secondary treated water down into the aquifer when there's super chemicals involved that have not been actually established yet. We need to protect the people and our wonderful place we live.
Thank you. The next question, Diane, the next question goes to you, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer it. Do you favor the pursuit of a Thurston County charter? Why or why not?
Oh, wonderful question. No, I do not. I was talking with some friends the other day, and someone mentioned the idea of a county council, and I thought it was brilliant. Living out in rural Thurston, one of the things I realized was that our county commissioners wear a hat that's hardly ever spoken about, and that is the hat of council members for unincorporated Thurston, and this has been acknowledged. It's real, and so when the idea for a county council came up, I thought it was a great idea because we do need representation in the county, and I think having someone like myself run for that position would be just, a really great opportunity for me to serve my area. So I would like to move forward with that as commissioner of Thurston County to start implementing a better way to represent the people and make sure all the voices are heard in Thurston County. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Alan, you have 1 minute.
Yes, I think that we do need to look at a new charter. I actually worked with Kathy Wolf back in 1984, hard to believe, when we actually were looking at a county charter, and that's when I first met Kathy. I'm actually running as a nonpartisan because I believe that the local government position should be nonpartisan, and I think that should be one of the results of the county charter. And I think that it also would open up the rural areas to more representation by having a 5-member board as opposed to a 3-member board. I've been on a school board with 5 members, and I think it works quite well and works better than a 3-member board.
Thank you.
Thanks.
John?
Well, I'm going to be very candid and say I do not support the charter program, although I do support the idea that we're reaching a level of population that we could add a couple more positions in as county commissioners. Essentially evolving much of the same, but I believe accountability is vastly important, that the elected officials are in a position that if they're not doing their job, they're taken out of office. We don't really need a elected county manager of any nature. We need to have the officials we have be responsible. As such, I think that we can accomplish that better just underneath the current existing condition, but we can also make sure that we are moving ourselves in a way that represents the people. And the people, the county involves both the city and the unincorporated areas, and it covers the health department. We need to cover it all.
Thank you. Jim?
Thank you, Allison. So yes, I do support a charter. It's no secret that I've been a leader in a county charter effort in Thurston County to reboot Thurston County government. I believe that a charter or a county constitution is the best opportunity to take control of the government by and for the people of Thurston County. For me, there's two main priorities. The first one being separation of powers. Right now, 3 county commissioners doing the executive and legislative and sometimes even judicial work is a problem. In fact, we've seen that as we make policies as a result of lawsuits because of that lack of separation of power. And then frankly, I think it's irresponsible for any government to have 3 members on its board. It's a misuse of our tax dollars. A lot of people don't know because of the Public Meetings Act, 2 members of a 3-member board are not allowed to have a cup of coffee to discuss the issues without noticing it as a public meeting. So while I've been an advocate for it, I also believe there are quite a few things that could be done within Thurston County government to move towards separation of powers and maybe even look at a larger commission when we hit 300,000 residents as is allowed by the Constitution.
Thank you. Hutch, 1 minute.
I am not in favor of the county charter. However, if the people decided that needed to be, then the people should decide that. The way it's been tried and proffered in the past, it's been under the cover of darkness, it's been done at the last minute and being trying to manipulate the process, and that's not fair. When it went to the voters in the past, the voters of Thurston County shot it down. So if we're going to move forward with a county charter, it needs to be, number one, in the comp plan. It needs to be budgeted for it because it's going to cost between $400,000 and $600,000. We have a capacity need, but we don't have room for additional members, staff, and or a county manager. And with a county manager, the county manager would have the budget veto power over the commissioners that represent the people. So you have no representation at that level. And the other issues that are involved that were brought up already, there's some mitigating factors there regarding the Open Meetings Act. Thank you.
Thank you. And Hutch, you get the next question for 2 minutes. What policies would you implement to best protect water use in our county? And again, if any of you need me to repeat the question when it's your turn, feel free to ask. So, Hutch, that's for you for 2 minutes.
To protect the water, the policies I would instigate would be born not out of conscience, but out of evidence. I would have to be in contact with the public that are impacted directly by that issue. I would talk with the professionals that are the subject matter experts on this issue and find out what is the issue and what is not the issue. Oftentimes the perception of an issue is what drives policy, and it's not very accurate. It's not a good way to run a government or a business. So specific policies, I'm not sure exactly what I would, to answer that question, specific policy, I don't have one yet, but I would need to find out exactly what is the issue, what are the issues, and the best way to go about handling those directly, those issues. But it'll also be collaboration with the rest of the commissioners as well.
Thank you. Jim, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Allison. The Deschutes River and the Puget Sound are the lifeblood of Thurston County. So for me, it's about using evidence-based best practices and using best available science to create water policy that protects our water. And for me, it's really about working together in a broader regional effort to protect water and have clean water. So we have the LOT Clean Water Alliance in our community, and I think there are opportunities to use LOT to do more concerted efforts countywide to protect our groundwater and ensure that we don't get harmful chemicals or nutrient-causing agents getting into the groundwater. I think there's one thing that I'd like to say as well. A lot of people think that septic systems produce clean water going into our aquifers and our groundwater, and that is absolutely not the case. And so we have some significant work to make sure that our septic systems are not polluting our pristine aquifers that literally lay right under our prairies.
Thank you, John.
Well, the first thing is that we have to identify exactly when we talk about water use. Hard to imagine, but essentially there's as much water on the earth today as what there has always been. Someone was telling me we're using all this water when, in fact, the very nature of most of the county, all the residents are using it. They pump it out of their well, put it back into the ground. It goes back into the aquifer. So there's a lot of misguided thoughts about it, such as, quite candidly, the septic systems have been used for thousands of years, and yes, there is a natural process that does cleanse the water and keeps it pure. That is just an absolute fact. So the denial of that actual truth is the first step that becomes a problem. I'm going to suggest that we do want to be careful with our water. We want to make sure we keep our river clean and the Puget Sound.
Thank you. Alan.
Thank you. Yes, as a land use attorney and environmental lawyer, I've been dealing with these issues for a long time, and one of the things that we've been doing is to make sure that our riparian zones on the Deschutes River and the Nisqually River are protected so that water is filtered and protected, and for not only human use but also for the fish. We also need to make sure that the land uses on the ground are not polluting the groundwater. I think using lot reclaimed water and expanding that reuse is something that we need to continue to look at in our area in order to make sure, because with 300,000, 500,000 more people in our area, we are using water, and we need to make sure that our water is protected and it's a healthy source of water.
Thank you. And Diane.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes, the
Please.
question is, what policies would you implement to best protect water use in our county?
Okay, I'd first like to say that I wouldn't implement any policy without thorough research, and I plan to have a team of people behind me when I'm your commissioner to help me do research on all issues. Another thing I'd like to say is, yes, there are misconceptions about pollution on the earth. I mean, I know I've done the research. I even presented to the county at one time research on biocarbon filtration. And I know that the earth is a natural filter. And so the idea that our septic systems are somehow polluting the aquifer is erroneous, big time. Not only that, our septics were created and installed with top-of-the-line technology, with all the science, so that once they were put in, they could be relied upon. So I think there's a whole lot more we need to look at before we start practicing things that are not built on sound science.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, the next question will go to Alan Miller, and you have 2 minutes. What do you think the County Commission could or should do to mitigate the effects of climate change?
Well, I think that climate change certainly is happening. It's going to be 90 degrees in today here as we speak in this beautiful studio. And I think we need to, one thing is sea level rise, and I think that the Dutch, we should look to the Dutch, I think, is one thing that we can do, is that building berms around our urban area, because we're not going to be abandoning our downtown Olympia. We're not going to be abandoning the port, but we need to protect those areas from sea level rise. As far as policies that the county can institute is to make sure that we are using as many electric cars. We should be changing over from carbon-based vehicles and getting out of using gasoline-powered cars as much as possible. We should be, I envision a new courthouse, because our current courthouse is in terrible shape. It's an unsafe place for judges and jurors and for the constituents that go there. And we've just built, as a school board, the most environmentally sustainable school building in the state of Washington, the Olympia Regional Learning Academy, and I see that we can build a new courthouse to be in the same area and to have those same environmental sustainable practices, which our lot building downtown Olympia is also an example of that, using reclaimed water and other things that are things that the county commission can and should use to deal with what is happening in our climate.
Thank you, Alan. John, you have 1 minute.
I'm going to have you repeat the statement there.
Okay. What do you think the county commission should or could do to mitigate the effects of climate change?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to address that, yes, climate change will occur. In fact, if it wasn't for climate change, 12,000 years ago, this place where we're at right now was covered by 1,000 feet of ice. We're actually a beneficiary of climate change because we can live here. But as far as mitigating to the process, there are things that we can learn. And Alan is correct on that part about looking that perhaps there's diking, there's other elements that we can do to help mitigate for some of those things. As far as global warming, we need to be transferring over and using other sources that are going to help us accomplish. Like, I drive a hybrid car. It's very simple. It's less polluting to the environment. You have to start with change by starting with yourself, and that includes the county taking steps to do the same.
Thank you. Jim, 1 minute.
Thank you. It's a proven fact that humans are expediting the warming of our globe. In fact, the recent briefing at the City Council, we were told to expect anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of storm surge and storm events in low-lying areas around the region. And so we need to really make sure that we plan for how to deal with that, and that includes policies that protect our public infrastructure or move it if it needs to be moved. Also, we have to think hard about our energy use. We need to have a clean energy plan for the entire county, one that's carbon neutral and waste free. I believe as the Board of Public Health that the County Commission has the single largest opportunity when it comes to climate change, and that is one as a convener. So the County Commission has the ability to convene the region to talk about climate change and global warming to make sure that we have a plan to both alleviate the impacts and stop contributing to it if we can.
Thank you. Hutch, 1 minute.
The commission can have a minimal impact on mitigating climate change. One thing that I would look at as a bigger picture is working regionally, not just within the cities or within the county, but working with our partners in other counties as well. What can we do collectively on a broader based policy for generations to come? We'd have to look at our current carbon footprint and how does that compare with relative size counties and such. Flooding is going to be big, and so working with emergency management, we need to make sure that if we do get flooding type rains and damaging rains, that we have proper runoff and such. We can look at policies towards our traffic flow. How long are cars idling? Putting in the roundabouts was a great idea because cars are expedited through intersections at a much greater pass rate with fewer accidents or collisions, but also less idling. And that's primary, that's important as well. We should look at our manufacturing and make sure they're already in compliance as well with all the mandates. But I would use evidence-based, sound, reasoned research and listening to both sides of the issue.
Thank you. Diane, 1 minute.
I've been washing bags and jars and recycling for 40 years. I have downsized all my energy needs, and I know most of you have done that too. Climate change is not something that we're just going to fix and somehow it's going to go away. It is here. And unless our nations do something extraordinary to change how the entire population of the globe live on the earth, there's very little that we as a county or as leaders of people can really do to change the effects we're having. So I think it's time for us to start thinking about how we can restructure and take care of each other in this time when it is going to change rapidly, and it is. The evidence is already there. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Question number 5. John, you'll get to start with 2 minutes. What would you do about Growth Management Act updates that are required by law that always seem to cause controversy, such as the pocket gopher protections?
That's a wonderful topic to talk about. Because yes, growth management is very fundamental. Many people don't understand that a growth management process is actually something that is a beneficial element to help all of us maintain effective cost services that will take care of everyone. Growth is going to happen, so we need to use growth management to help identify it. You can't have just totally random growth. It doesn't serve any purpose, because when you place a large number of people out into a outside unincorporated area, you still have to provide for roads, you have to provide for utilities and everything. So it is not something that we can avoid, it's something that we need to embrace. We need to take it in. Do I believe that things that are affected like the pocket gopher? Well, knowing what I know about the pocket gopher and the entire review process, having reviewed it with the Federal Registry, the pocket gopher, they have no count of how many pocket gophers there were. They have no count of how many there are. But they were saying it affects the environment where they may live sometime. So we have to use real science or real facts, not presumptions built upon one or another, just to go on and perpetrate a means to control people from use of their property. Now, that being said, we do need to protect our environment. That includes salmon, that includes all elements of it. But I'm not going to protect a rodent when the science isn't really there to protect it, that supports that there's any problem with it at this time.
Thank you. Alan, you have 1 minute, and if anybody needs me to repeat the question, I'm happy to do so.
As a land use attorney, I've been dealing with the updates for many, many years. Yes, we do. The legislature does require us to update our growth management plan about every 7 to 10 years. So one of the things we need to look at is the urban growth area. We need to make sure that we have enough land to accommodate the 300,000 more people that we're going to be having in the next 30 years here to get to a 500,000 population. So one of the things we're going to need to do is build up, build higher in our dense urban growth areas and infill. As far as updating the critical areas ordinance, we also need to continue to look at best available science and to update the critical areas for steep slopes, wetlands, the waterways, the rivers, the waters, and the groundwater. So it is something that we have to do and will continue to do unless there's a change in the law.
Thank you. Diane, you have 1 minute.
Would you say it again, please?
Yes. What would you do about Growth Management Act updates required by law that always seem to cause controversy, such as the pocket gopher protections?
I think what I've read of the Growth Management Act, I see that it's being loosely worded and kind of a general guide for each county to take action according to how they want to represent their people and develop their county. The way we have done business, the way we are growing, the way we are living is not working. It's obvious. Look where we are. Look what we've done to the environment. We can't afford business as usual, guys. We cannot do that. We don't have the economy base to do it. We have to innovate. We have to find alternatives. We have to build sustainability. We have to build communities, not houses. That's what I think. We need to restructure our thinking and start living towards the future. Thank you.
Hutch, you have 1 minute.
Regarding the GMA updates, yes, they have to be done. And what I would do is, number one, include the public. There has to be public involvement. With the exception of Commissioner Bud Blake, our commissioners over the last few years, through failed policy, have pitted the gopher against human beings. They've pitted city against county, and pitting the federal government versus county as well. Been very divisive and not helpful. So there has to be citizen involvement. There has to be pushback to the federal government. Do we want 3 inspections or 1 inspection? Do we want to ask the federal government for assistance in implementing the HCP, the Habitat Conservation Plan, that we're told is going to cost us $151 million? The government says we need to pay that. And are they going to? Do we just go along to get along? Because it's not working properly this way. So one thing that's been missing is the citizen and community involvement.
Thank you. Jim, 1 minute.
Great, thank you. Growth management, I believe, is really about the balance of the environmental, fiscal, and social needs of our community. And it's frankly the most complex thing that any elected official has to deal with. We have to be compliant with state and federal law, and we have to make sure that all of our local policies are continually updated, involve public process and transparency. So the crux of that is really the critical areas ordinance, which will need to be updated to include whatever final process comes out for the habitat management plan in South County. It'll need probably a new chapter to be updated with priority species, which are currently, we just go directly and put the entire list of the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife the State Fish Department of Fish and Wildlife in our critical areas ordinance. But for me, there's really four priorities in how I think going forward and growth management updates, whether it's our critical areas ordinance or our comprehensive plan, that's use the best available science, be transparent, predictable, and as affordable as possible.
Thank you. And actually, we do have time for one more question, but you'll all only get 1 minute each. So I'll just go around the table and I'll start with Diane. Here's the question. The problem of homelessness in Thurston County and its cities continues. Would you support additional action by the county in this regard, and what form do you think it should take?
I spent 3 days living with the homeless in Seattle, and I found it a remarkable learning to understand who these people are. The media, the government, I think they're misrepresenting the people that are out there. And it's time for us to get in there, like the sidewalk program, and really find out what these people think they need, what it is that we can do for their lives, not us telling them what we should do, what we think is best for them. I have watched county programs, city programs try to get people into housing where they just turn around and leave again because housing does not suit them and the lifestyle does not suit them, and they aren't able to maintain it. So I think we have a lot of work to do in taking care of our homeless, and it's not an issue that's going to go away. We need to start loving them, caring for them, and providing a way forward for them.
Thank you. Hutch, 1 minute.
There's quite a bit that Thurston County commissioners can do regarding homelessness. Back in the 80s and 90s, I dealt with this issue along with the Olympia Downtown Association, trying to mitigate these issues and bringing collaboratively all the various groups together to help the homeless and give them a warmer handoff into emergency housing, get them chemical dependency, get them mental health treatment and such. And what I plan on doing is working with the Thurston Mason BHO, Behavioral Health Organization, with their innovative justice measures and initiatives in not criminalizing homelessness. I fully support the Drexel too, because what they're doing is also bringing in extra housing for the homeless veterans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim.
Great, thank you. So homeless issues are the one where we need to be the most compassionate. Every person matters in our community, and often our homeless are forgotten about or talked down to. So for me, there's really about 5 points that create a solid and well-rounded homelessness policy. That's about coordinated entry, rapid rehousing, getting people into houses immediately. We know that we can save costs when we do that. Having permanent supportive housing. In fact, we have quite a few permanent supportive projects coming online in Thurston County, to the point where I've heard we are on track to end veteran homelessness in Thurston County in the next 3 years. We also need to make sure we have adequate emergency shelter for families, youth, and adults. And in the city of Olympia, because of the county's inability to move quickly, we've created Pear Blossom Place, a public-private partnership for a family shelter, as well as created the organization Sidewalk. And I look forward to more emerging issues that the cities and counties can work together on to really work on ending homelessness. But like I said, it really comes down to being compassionate.
Thank you. John.
Homelessness is, in fact, a very significant issue. But I think one of the big issues is using a critical thinking process is that, first of all, what are the issues behind the homelessness? We do know for a fact that there's a large percentage, 35%, that there's mental illness issues. We know that there's probably 35% that is addiction issues. We need to be providing assistance to help these people deal with these issues and provide some services accordingly. We have a health department that can assist, but just providing more money to them the way which the current system is, it's not good. As a child, I used to be able to feel comfortable going down to Olympia. But as it is now, I have to tell you, it's a little scary going down there because of the homelessness and the mental illness issues down there. I seek to see us improve all that.
Thank you. And finally, Alan.
As a county commissioner, I would partner with the agencies in Thurston County that are compassionate, that are dealing with homelessness. I've got a lot of experience doing that as part of the board of the Catholic Community Services. We built the Drexel House. I've been involved in building Habitat for Humanity houses. We do need to get houses available for rapid rehousing of our homeless. I think the therapeutic courts that we have for the veterans, for the mentally ill, and for our addicted populations are ways that we can help with the homelessness problem. We dealt with this successfully as a school board, because there are homeless students in our schools, and we have been dealing with that. So I would continue to partner and be compassionate with this population.
Thank you. And now it's time for our candidates' closing statements. And we'll start over to my left with Alan Miller. You each get 1 minute for a closing statement.
In the middle of July, you will be getting your ballots, and so I hope you will vote for Alan Miller. I have shown as a school board member and a community leader for 30 years that I am a good listener, I'm a good partner, I'm a good visionary, I'm good at getting things done. I think I'm the most experienced candidate based on those qualifications, and I would ask that you look at the website votealanmiller.com to find out more information about me, and if you have any questions, please send me an email. You can ask my constituents in the Olympia School District that I was a very rapid responder on email. So please contact me, and I look forward to your vote in the fall, or actually in August, for building a more prosperous, beautiful, and sustainable Thurston County.
Thank you. John, 1 minute.
1 minute. Well, I certainly hope that we have a little bit of information started with this meeting, but I think we need to reach further. So the first thing I'm going to do is suggest I'd love to have all of the people here go to their computers, turn on to pettitplan.com, go on to johnpettit.com, review the website. There's a multitude of issues that are addressed, not just with a little surface element, but with full depth. I think that we can make this county a better place again. We can make it better so we have property rights again. Right now, a lot of things have been impaired because of the current means and how things have been handled. I want to see us improve that. I will improve that. But I need your vote, and I need it right away come the primary election so we can move forward. I appreciate all the people that want to listen and those that are working towards a better Thurston County.
Thank you. Jim.
Thank you. I'm Jim Cooper, candidate for Thurston County Commissioner, District 1, and I'm a Democrat. I'm a husband, a father, a veteran, a compassionate policy leader, a seasoned executive, and an experienced policymaker. And I hope that I'll have your vote in August and in November for Thurston County Commissioner District 1. Please check out my website at electjimcooper.com. And thanks for watching.
Thank you. Hutch.
And I'm John Hutchings, but again, you can call me Hutch. I'm not a career politician, nor am I looking for a promotion. I've heard the adage that politicians govern to the next election, where I'm going to govern to the next generation. That's my plan for my children and my children's children as well. I demonstrated that I'm already a proven public leader, and I bring you folks to the commission with me. I'm a collaborative. My plans are for public safety, public health, environmental concerns within the county, and with economic development in the county, reasonable economic development. Vote for me. I'm independent. I'm not beholden to anybody except you, the folks, the voters. And so when you get that, like I said, when you get the ballot and you blacken in that little bubble right next to John Hutchings, I greatly appreciate it because I'm taking you to the county with me. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and TCTV for beginning this dialogue and getting you civically involved. And it doesn't stop there.
Thank you. And Diane, you get the last minute.
I do. So I am probably the most diverse candidate you have here. I have the most diverse background, and therefore I will bring a new perspective to the county, a more inclusive perspective. One of the things I want to do is replace legalese with plain talks to make our county more accessible, more friendly, like it was 27 years ago when I moved here, and more inclusive. And there's no way that I could be your commissioner unless you came to the county with me. It's important that you maintain the momentum that we're experiencing today, that you realize that the work you're doing just to vote can't stop there. The future depends on our coming back to a more responsible, self-governing mindset. So thank you very much. Please go to teachgeniusfirst.com and you can find out more about me there.
Thank you, Diane. That brings us to the end of this forum. Thank you, candidates, and thank you, TCTV and the League of Women Voters of Thurston County for making this forum possible. Viewers, we hope when you vote in the primaries and in the general election, the candidates' positions will help you make an informed decision. Please remember to vote. It's important, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alan.